It's a Thursday episode of Locked On Grizzlies. Joe Mullinax with you here alongside Damichael Cole. We're going to dream because we're dreamers here on Locked On Grizzlies. We're going to think of Pacers players, Oklahoma City Thunders players that we would love to have in Memphis playing on the Grizzlies roster within some logic and reason. And we'll also give you some NBA Finals previews and predictions on this Finals Game 1 episode of Locked On Grizzlies. No, the Grizzlies aren't playing, but again, we're dreaming, you dreamers. Let's lock in.
You are Locked On Grizzlies, your daily Memphis Grizzlies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's a Thursday episode, as previously stated, I am Joe Mullinax, joined by my wonderful co-host, Damichael Cole, Memphis Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal there in Memphis, Tennessee. Make sure you're following him on X at Damichael C. Make sure you're following me on X at Joe Mullinax, and make sure you are following our wonderful podcast each and every time an episode drops, Locked On Grizzlies. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. As proud members of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every single day. Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, YouTube, literally anywhere you get a podcast, you can make Damichael and I part of your NBA and Memphis Grizzlies content consumption. Each and every time that an episode drops, we ask that you do so. Be an everydayer if you're not already one. And if you are an everydayer, thank you so much for hanging out with Damichael and me each and every time we have a show come out. Happy NBA Finals Game 1 day to you, Damichael. Obviously, a very important day in NBA schedules and calendars. It's a day that small markets should rejoice. No teams to sniff. Nobody out there.
Let me butt in real quick because you'll like this. I saw Adam Silver was talking about the finals. You'll have fun with this, but I'm only bringing it up because I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and he missed the mark on this one. And he tried to kind of use the NFL analogy and as to like what this finals matchup looks like. And I'm paraphrasing, Joe, but he basically was like, I mean, this is like, if the Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers were in the Super Bowl. He said, and he goes,
terrible
like,
comparison.
Two smaller markets. I'm like, Packers and Steelers.
Two of the most storied franchises in the entire National Football League.
Yeah, so just to give you, so I know you like to pile on him a little bit, so he missed the mark.
Yeah, he's the worst commissioner in sports, so it's not surprising that he would be so off understanding what an actual good league the NFL looks like.
Roger Goodell fan, Joe Mullinax here, y'all.
Well, and let me stress, I'm an NBA podcaster. I think the NBA is a good league, so let me rephrase. The work of what an actual good commissioner looks like is what I meant to say there. Because again, it's hard to say I don't like the NBA. I do like the NBA. I guess the actual comp would be something like the Jacksonville Jaguars,
like
and
Carolina Panthers or something.
Carolina Panthers,
yeah,
something like that. Maybe not the Panthers.
Houston Texans. Well, that's a big market. That's a big market, but they're a newer team.
It probably could be a team like I don't want to say the Jets. I'm intrigued. Like the Colts, maybe keep it in Indiana, and it's like the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
something like that would be a better comparison. But anyway, small markets rejoice, right? If Indiana can do it, the Grizzlies can do it. Maybe not so much if OKC can, like we talked about this week. The Thunder are pretty head and shoulders above everybody, and we'll talk more about that as the show goes on, I would imagine. But, Damichael, let's have a little fun. Let's dream a little bit on this Thursday. Some ground rules here. If we are going around on podcasts like I have the last couple of days, and we are saying Ja's not getting traded, Jaren's not getting traded, Dez isn't getting traded.
Yep.
For this mental exercise, we're going to do the same thing to these two teams. We're going to start with the Pacers. No Haliburton, no Siakam, no Miles Turner. Right, I think you could maybe debate who the third best player in Indiana is, but we'll say it's Miles Turner for the sake of argument.
Okay.
Those guys are off the table. We'll start with Indiana. If you could have any other player from the Pacers become a member of the Grizzlies within the realm of at least hypothetical possibility, who would be somebody from this Pacers roster that you'd love to see in Beale Street Blue?
I'm going to say Andrew Nembhard.
Ooh. Nobody said it would be them easy, right? Shout out
Caitlin.
Shout out Caitlin Cooper on X.
Shout her out. Shout out to her. She does great work, by the way.
She's phenomenal. Legitimately one of the best basketball writers I've ever read.
For sure. Oh wow. Yeah.
It's not even really close, to be honest with you. Like Zach Lowe, her, Damichael Cole, they're all in the same realm.
Nah. I'm not Zach Lowe but Andrew Nembhard for me is my pick, Joe, because you're gonna like this, Joe. You talk about those dogs, right? Getting those dogs out there. Yeah, Andrew Nembhard, he's a dog. If you watched him these last couple series, I mean, the way he guarded Jalen Brunson, I don't think this is too expressive. He guarded Jalen Brunson better than anyone this season. At least with that level of a sample size. He's physical. He's not, the hugest guy in the world, but he is compact. We've seen him play against the Grizzlies. Sometimes he gets in those guys' grills, and he's a playoff shot maker. This isn't some guy that you just put in the corner and, hey, I'm open whenever you need me. He takes pressure off of Haliburton, and one of Haliburton's things coming into the league was his ability to play on and off the ball. So having that type of guy like Nembhard, who pretty much came up as a point guard and is playing more off the ball because he's playing with Haliburton, but he's playing on the ball. He kind of split it a little bit, which plays into the pace that they play with, which is why I think he would be a seamless fit as like that third guard for the Grizzlies. But in closing lineups, you could put him in there with Dez and Ja, and he has the ability to create his own shot off the dribble, the ability to guard 1 through 3, the ability to be a secondary playmaker, as we've seen in Indiana. He's a seamless fit to me. Andrew Nembhard would be really solid over here.
Fun fact, it's really hard to find. I spent about 10 minutes the other day, I'm embarrassed to admit that out loud, trying to find all my takes on Andrew Nembhard from several years ago. I was very on Andrew Nembhard, and unfortunately, he did not come to the Grizzlies, but I was a big fan of his going back to when he was in school. So shout out to Andrew Nembhard. I wanted him in Memphis pretty badly. But again, it's impossible to find anything on X these days. Shout out to the new owner. I guess he's not new anymore. But anyway, this isn't locked on, poor social media platforms. This is a chance for me to talk about my boy Aaron Nesmith. Okay. Like this guy a lot. And shout out to our mutual friend Parker Fleming. Parker is huge on Nesmith. And I agree with him. A remarkable three-point shooter. And this is a guy who, if I remember correctly, Damichael, he was selected around the same draft or in the same draft as Desmond Bane. So Nesmith gets selected. Yes.
Yep.
Correct. Nesmith was selected 14th overall, tail end of the lottery. Dez obviously goes 30th overall. Safe to say that Bane has had a better NBA career so far than Nesmith. Their salaries suggest that. But at the same time, Nesmith is a guy who has found his shooting stroke in recent years. In 1,100 minutes played for the Pacers this year, and all my stats, as usual, come from cleaningtheglass.com. Should be sponsored by them at this point. 43% from beyond the arc, 84 of 195. This guy can shoot the three ball. He did extremely well the prior season as well. So this is a guy who can shoot the ball at a very high clip. Not the best defender. He's improved in that regard. I think solid, you can make an argument the way that the Pacers play kind of plays a role in how his defensive.
He's an eye test defender to me.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
Like Jalen Wells, you look at Jalen Wells' advanced numbers, they won't scream like, "Oh, wow, this guy's." But we see it. We see what we see. Yeah.
Correct, and you're a step ahead of me. You're exactly right. There's two different levels to this. If all you do is look up cleaning the glass numbers and you say, "Oh, this guy is an average defender," it's important to understand that there's an actual basketball game that gets played, right?
Yeah.
Like there's the saying in boxing, at some point the bell's got to ring. At some point you actually dribble the ball. And if you watch Nesmith play, he is better than the numbers. I agree with you completely. So he's an above average defender. He's an elite 3-point shooter. You got to talk about money when it comes to this Grizzlies roster. $11 million over the next couple of years. Nothing ascending, nothing descending. He is as steady as she goes. $11 million the next couple of seasons. He would make a lot of sense financially for this Grizzlies roster. So I'm a Nesmith guy. You like Nembhard. I like the Pacers in general. I think they're a fun team. We'll talk more about overall finals predictions here later on in the show. But, they play fast. Haliburton's extremely efficient with the basketball. I talked about both of he and Siakam at length earlier in the week. Lots of good stuff there from the Pacers. And I do think, and again, we'll talk more about this as the show goes on, I think that they can give OKC trouble in certain spots. The Thunder, the Pacers have never seen a team like the Thunder, right? They just don't exist in the Eastern Conference. But at the same time, I think it's fair to say that OKC has not seen an offense the caliber of the Pacers when it comes to combining a scoring mentality and pace with the ability to protect the basketball. Memphis played with tremendous pace too.
Yep.
But again, the turnover issues were more real for the Grizzlies. The Pacers do a much better job.
He keeps it on the string, man. He keeps it on the string.
And we'll talk more about that as we go. But when we come back here on Locked On Grizzlies, we'll do the same game with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, they don't have to trade anybody, right? We talked about that recently. Yeah. That's the scariest part about OKC. They can trade if they want to. They can keep it exactly the same if they want to. Who would we take from the Thunder if we, could dream a little dream on this Thursday? Stick around here on Locked On Grizzlies. Today's episode of Locked On Grizzlies is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are not just in full swing. The finals have arrived, and every game delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot, a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game, both before tip-off as well as live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds? You can do that yourself tonight and moving forward as these games play through. And imagine how much more exciting the game could be if you could get a $200 bonus in bets added to your first $5 bet if it hits. This is important. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you will get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. All right, Damichael, same rules apply. So no SGA, obviously. No Williams, obviously. I guess with the Thunder, we need to specify which Williams we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, J-Dub, right?
No J-Dub, right? Can't have J-Dub, and you can't have Chet, right? No Chet Holmgren here. Everybody else is fair game. I am excited to say that I'll go first here. And I'll go with, shout out one of my former players and students, Chris Suber. Suber just graduated from high school. Good, happy for him. Played quarterback for me. I don't know if I've told you the story before or not, partner, but we were on the bus ride home, and I think Memphis was playing OKC. It was either early regular season or it was a preseason game. There was something going on the way home from a game. And Suber, who's playing point guard in college, also played quarterback for me. He talked about watching Case and Wallace highlights. And the kids know that I'm into basketball, right? Yeah, it's not put out there all the time, but every once in a while, somebody makes like a locked on Mullinax joke or something like that. Shout out to that. But, I was like, Case and Wallace, he can't play. Come on, man. And he was like, Coach, Case and Wallace is nice. And he's not wrong. Case and Wallace is indeed nice.
He's trying to tell you.
He's exactly right. This is a guy who we were talking a little bit before the show, and I think you've talked about him earlier in the week as well. Yeah. His ceiling is probably Drew Holiday, right? And this guy's 21. This guy's 21 years old, so his ceiling is Drew. I think his floor, which is where he might be literally right now, is like DeAnthony Melton 2.0, right? Like an improved DeAnthony Melton in terms of how he plays the game, his defensive vision, his stocks, his just absolute chaos he can create on the defensive end. Again, the Thunder run a scheme that kind of benefits, right? Plays to his strengths. But at the same time, I think if you put him in the Memphis scheme, he would do a lot of the same kinds of things. A really impressive player, a defensive maven, shoots about 38% for his career, roughly around on the three. So he was 36% this past season for the Thunder. Not great, right? You like to see that number be a little bit higher, but still all that he can do defensively. And, we talked, Jake LaRavia obviously used to be a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. And you used to say all the time, partner, you could tell by his mechanics that the guy can shoot the ball. Yeah. And Wallace is another good example of that. The numbers, maybe this past season, he had a little bit of a down year, but you don't look at Wallace and say that guy's not going to be able to shoot the three in the NBA as he improves. It should only get better. So Case and Wallace would be my guy from the Thunder if we were able. And again, I'm not saying the Thunder are going to trade him. They would be crazy to trade him. But that would be who I'd love to see be a dog for Memphis if we were allowed to have our dreams come true here.
Yeah, I like that one. And you listed out the names we can't use for OKC, and there are some either more obvious ones that still feel like cheat codes because they're just that deep, right? Like obviously the Hartenstein, but that contract is big. Um Lou Dort, but with Lou Dort, I feel like he fits, in OKC a little bit better because, they have a couple guys who can make plays for themselves and their teammates and at a very efficient level,
He's
like
almost Lou Dort's Tony Allen, or he's almost Oklahoma City's Tony Allen.
yeah,
Right? Like he will be more valuable to the Thunder than anywhere else in the NBA.
Yeah. With all that being said, I'm gonna go with Aaron Wiggins.
I
Aaron
like
Wiggins
that pick.
is my guy. You talk about a guy who I think if you ship him out somewhere else, he explodes onto the scene. I mean, the talent. Look, Grizzlies fans should know this. I mean, he has the makings. I've mentioned it on X a couple times. When he plays the Grizzlies, it's like he doesn't miss, especially in the regular season. Then he had a couple games like that in the playoffs. But his minutes are a little bit limited on this OKC team. He's definitely a rotation player, but the ability to score the ball. Watch Oklahoma City in the non-Shai Gilgeous-Alexander lineups over the course of this finals because those lineups haven't been really good, so to speak. I mean, they're good. They're good enough, but they aren't like world beaters when he's out of the game. But what makes those lineups go is when Jalen Williams and Aaron Wiggins are really knocking down shots. And Aaron Wiggins, when he gets in that kind of elevated role, when they take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to the bench in that little small window of time, he tends to excel. So I think if you talk about him with his 3-point shooting efficiency, with his ability to create shots, like we talk about your guy Luke Kennard being super accurate, but the downside is we don't get to see that accuracy as much as we want because he's not generating those open looks. Aaron Wiggins can do that. And I think of him as that third guard, someone who can really score it behind those guys. He really gives me that type of potential. Not really a bad defender either. Like he's not one of their top defenders, but he's not a bad one too. So give me Aaron Wiggins.
I don't talk about this much. This is actually one of the things I rarely talk about when my basketball stuff, which is hard to find this many years in. My 3-point shooting preference, I like guys that can make threes that aren't in the corner, right? Because the corner three is the most efficient shot in basketball, right? It's closest to the rim. There's all sorts of analytics that go into, just why that shot is the best shot.
Shout out PJ Tucker. Yeah.
There you go. This guy, Mr. Aaron Wiggins, non-corner threes over the last 3 seasons for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And keep in mind, he's played at least 1,000 minutes over these 3 seasons.
Yeah.
46% on a non-corner three 2 years ago, 52% on non-corner threes last year. And then this regular season that just concluded, 42% on non-corner threes. And that's on 200 attempts, 86 out of 205 from non-corner threes. So this is a guy who actually shoots pretty poorly from the corner, to be honest with you. Where he does his damage is beyond the corner three. And something else that I like, we're talking about numbers. Check out this guy's contract. $10.5 million.
It's beautiful. Yep.
$9.7 million.
Yep.
8.8, 8.0. And the last year of a 5-year deal is a team option for $8 million.
Descendant deal. Yep.
That is a phenomenal contract and impressive work. And it's one of the reasons why the Thunder can look at their roster and say, c'est fini. Masterpiece. We don't have to do anything.
He signed that deal like early on in this season, I remember. And I was like, why did he do that right now? But some guys like to get the security. You never know what's going to happen with injuries and all that. Get your security, get your money now. So shout out to him for getting that security going forward. But yeah, that's a great deal for OKC.
Phenomenal contract for the Thunder. It really is. And to your point that you made earlier, partner, we could go up and down this roster of guys that really check this box. Like Isaiah Joe is somebody that has come along and really had a really impressive run. My boy Kenrick Williams. I've loved Kenrick Williams.
That's a dog. That's a dog. Right there.
You talk about
Desmond Bain's guy too.
That is a dog right? That is somebody that would be awesome on this team. So you could
Yeah.
go up and down the list. And again, we want to stress the Oklahoma City Thunder don't have to do anything. Every single one of these guys are under contract
Just
for
trade their
2025,
picks
2026.
this upcoming year, run it back.
They have so many first-round picks. If they like their team, they could literally run it back. And that is phenomenal GM work. They just are they're the class of the NBA right now. They just are from top to bottom. And it's going to be fascinating to see what that looks like given their youth going against a team like the Indiana Pacers. And we'll talk about the NBA Finals, give you some previews and general takeaways from the series that starts tonight. Stick around here on Locked On Grizzlies. Welcome back to Locked On Grizzlies. I'm Joe Mullinax, joined by my wonderful co-host, Damichael Cole, Memphis Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, award-winning Memphis Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal is Damichael. Damichael, again, the finals begin tonight.
Yep.
No more dreaming, although it would be nice to dream of the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA Finals. That would be you maybe, somewhere in Indiana, I guess, or New York or something like that for a game one. How wonderful that would be. But that's not the world that we live in. It's OKC and Indiana. What are you looking for from this series? I know you're a big hoop head. You'll be watching the game just like everybody else. How do you see the series playing out? What are your keys? Obviously, this is Locked On Grizzlies, but the eyes of the NBA and sports world, to be honest with you, the Stanley Cup started yesterday. So we are locked in on NBA Finals Game 1. What are some of your thoughts about this series?
Yeah, I'll make a Grizzlies tie-in here, and I'll bring it back for you. And you mentioned that I'm a hoop head, and as a hoop head, I can't wait to see the contrasting styles that are so good just collide. And let's see if the cliche wins. The cliche is defense wins championships. But some people will say, hey, offense wins games. Defense wins championships. Offense wins games. How many games can the OKC offense, not OKC, the Indiana Pacer offense win? And will OKC's defense win this championship? Now, tying it back to the Grizzlies side, I think the Grizzlies can learn as much as any team in the league from this series in particular. Now, there are some teams that everybody could learn from OKC on the defensive end, but there's only one team that played faster than the Pacers. It's only one. Now, I remember
Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, Memphis Grizzlies. And it's funny because I remember earlier this season when the Grizzlies played the Pacers for the first time, we're in the locker room, and some of the players are huffing and puffing, Joe. They're like, it's a different speed pad. And I'm like, you guys play like that against everybody else. But when you play another team that's like, all right, you want to make this a track meet? Let's do it. It's a different feeling when you got the other teams. Hey, let's slow it down a little bit. We're not trying to play their game. Indiana's trying to play their game and your game because both of them are playing really fast. So with that being said, you pointed out earlier the fact that the Pacers have specialized in playing fast and taking care of the ball. And I'll go even a step further than that. Taking care of the ball, that's part of their efficiency, right? The efficiency is to another level when you talk about the level of shot making that they have now. You question some of it because like Andrew Nembhard goes from shooting like below league average in the regular season, and then he turns into a above league average 3-point shooter in the playoffs. And he did it last year too. So it's like, hey, the guy's just a playoff riser, I guess. But Aaron Nesmith, as you mentioned earlier, when you're talking about him, another guy who shot the ball really well from 3-point range. So not only do they play fast, but they can efficiently score. The Grizzlies were playing fast. They would score a lot in transition, but the Grizzlies needed to get a lot of offensive rebounds and stuff like that. So it's a different type of dynamic, but it's something the Grizzlies can really learn from because even with Isalo leading the charge, they're going to emphasize playing fast. So with all that being said, I just can't wait to see you got this offense that is giving the Cavaliers trouble. It's giving the Knicks trouble. And in the regular season, at times gave the Celtics trouble. The Pacers can hoop, but you got this defense that is historically good. You say we got Tyrese Haliburton. They say, okay, that's fine. We got Cason Wallace, and we got Lou Dort. You get Lou Dort in foul trouble. Okay, we'll slide Jalen Williams, second team all defense over on him. Okay, you don't want Jalen Wilson guard? Okay, that's fine. We'll bring Casey Wallace off the bench. Okay, that's fine. We can bring former first-team all-defense member Alex Caruso just a couple years ago, was first-team all-defense. So we'll slide him on him. And then you say, okay, you got Siakam. Okay, we put Jalen Wells on him. No, we'll start the game. We'll put Chet Holmgren on him. Let's see if he can score with some size. We can put Hartenstein on him. We can put, they can come at you in waves. They have the bodies. They have the answers individual matchup-wise. So Indiana, and this is, again, something that I think the Grizzlies could potentially learn from, they won't be able to win this game just by saying, we're going to beat you with individual matchups. They're going to have to play their style, and they're going to have to execute. And it's going to have to be playing with pace and try to create efficient opportunities. I can't wait to see it.
Miles Turner is going to have to be the best player for the Pacers, in my opinion, for them to win. If Miles Turner can be an MVP caliber player for the series, I think the Pacers can win. That to me is the key, because we've seen throughout this
play, they might be cooked.
I'm with you. We've seen throughout this playoff run, the Thunder are capable of neutralizing your best guys, right? They have an Alex Caruso that was able to frustrate Jokic. Nikola Jokic, you're not stopping him. You're just slowing him down. But they have different ways, like you said, different body types, different archetype of defender. They have so many different looks, so much length. Haliburton, the lanes are going to close faster than he's seen this entire season. And he's an elite decision maker, as I've talked about on here. You have as well. But how he's going to be able to translate that in a way, as I talked about on a show recently, he's better at it than Ja is, but Ja has that athleticism advantage. And it's going to be a fascinating thing to see. Morant saying that he had OKC figured out. Is it because he was able to get to certain spots because of that athleticism that Haliburton doesn't possess? Haliburton has better decision-making on the court at this moment, but how will that connect? And the floater is so significant in this series as well. Haliburton has to be able to knock that shot down. I'm intrigued by Miles Turner because I think he's a guy that theoretically should be able to win his matchup, right? He's unique enough as a three-point shooter on the perimeter. They have Siakam as that creator of his own offense and of offense for others. I think Turner's the X factor for the Pacers. But I'm with you, partner. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think that you're looking at a Thunder team that is just destined. This is their time. This is their run. Yeah. You never want to say it's a dynasty because of the parity that the league does have. The Western Conference is loaded.
Yeah, we ain't jumping the gun. Yeah.
Right. But this particular time,
they got the makeup.
It's the time. The time is now for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they'll be the youngest team since those Blazers back in the 70s to win a championship. I think the Thunder win game 1 and 2. I think the Pacers take game 3 in Indiana. The Pacers fans are some of the best in the NBA. The energy in that building is going to be phenomenal. And we've seen Oklahoma City struggle in game 3s. So I think Indiana wins game 3. I think the Thunder bounce back in game 4. I think this series ends in Oklahoma City and game 5. Thunder in 5 is my official prediction. What say you, partner?
I think that sounds about right. Thunder in 5. Defensively overwhelming, but they're a really good offensive team too. And the Pacers, they're not a bad defense, but they aren't frightening on that end as well. So I think, I'm really watching that Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith, those guys, how they guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander when they get their opportunities. We talked about how Nembhard, did well against Jalen Brunson. We know that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nembhard know each other very well, Canadian background, playing together in Canada and whatnot. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But OKC in 5. Look, I just trust defense. And at the end of the day, that defense has the ability to limit anyone. And we talked about how the Pacers have taken care of the ball. I can't wait to see how that plays out. If you can limit turnovers against OKC, you can win. The Grizzlies were limiting turnovers in game 3 really well in the first half. And then, of course, they end up turning over in the second half. Ja goes out and they lose. But if you can limit turnovers, you give yourself a real chance against them.
Let us know in the comments. Hit us up on X at Damichael C, at Joe Mullinax. Pacers players you'd love to see in Memphis. Thunder players you'd love to see on the Grizzlies, and your finals predictions. Damichael and I on the same page, as we often are. Thunder in 5 sounds good to me. I agree with that take. Let us know what you guys are thinking as well. Thank you so much for being with us on this episode of Locked On Grizzlies. Tomorrow is Friday. You've got to get down on Friday. I will be flying solo on the Friday show. Lots of fun things that we can discuss. We can obviously talk about the start of the finals. We could go down the angle of reviewing some of the players that are no longer with Memphis and how they could have helped in the long run. Jake LaRavia, did they really miss him? The Marcus Smart trade. There's lots of what ifs, because that's how I'm feeling watching these NBA finals. Not what if the Grizzlies made the finals, but again, Memphis was the 2 seed back in January, right? Yeah. Everything collapsed. I kind of want to play the what if game a little bit, Michael, and try to be hypothetical on a Friday. You know how I get down on a Friday.
Yeah, I was like, it's not bad. Yeah, and you got to get down on a Friday. You got to. So yeah,
got to. It's fun as we look forward to the weekend. Shout out to Rebecca Black. Shout out to Damichael, and shout out to you, hopefully, for joining us and me, on Locked On Grizzlies on Friday. Thank you for making Locked On Grizzlies your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NBA Big Board Show. NBA draft expert Rafael Barlow reacts to every workout, interview, and rumor leading up to the NBA draft. Find Locked On NBA Big Board on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We got to find a reason to get him on the show. He's phenomenal. I'm guessing he's too busy to talk about late second round.
We'll get him on.
Yeah. I know that's your guy. So maybe we'll be able to get him on here in the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much for being with us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you're hanging out with Damichael and I each and every time that an episode drops. Become an everydayer if you aren't already one. If you are, thank you so much. Hopefully that means you'll be back with me tomorrow as we close out the week here on Locked On Grizzlies. Enjoy game 1. Have a blast. Be safe. Small markets unite. Cheers to the small markets. And
shout out to the small markets.
Everydayers. We'll see you tomorrow.